But JFK was also needlessly ruthless at times and used people in deceitful ways. So the president was both a pinhead and a patriot. As you can see, defining his short life in consistent terms is very difficult to do because JFK was capable of both extraordinary good and incredible callousness. In the same way, President George W. Bush is a challenge to define. He did a number of truly noble things, especially during his first term. His ferocity against murderous members of al-Qaeda likely saved thousands of American lives. His generosity in fighting disease in Africa also saved millions of lives, and that important humanitarian work continues to this day. Unfortunately, the pinhead factor exists for W as well, because the Iraq War was not only poorly planned, but most likely unnecessary. Also, Mr. Bush's failure to aggressively oversee the economy led to the rampant speculation and financial con games that brought us down. The results were obviously catastrophic. The recession damaged the lives of countless people all over the world. But this book is not about past presidents per se. In fact, much of it will be devoted to discussing the present occupant of the White House, President Barack Obama. He is perhaps the most polarizing chief executive since Abraham Lincoln. Yes, opinions about Bill Clinton and Bush the Younger divided the country, but not in the way views about Mr. Obama have. Some Americans sincerely believe he is trying to change the fundamental core of the United States. You hear this critical refrain all the time: when do I get my country back? The Obama factor is, of course, fluid. It is being played out every day in thousands of ways. For this reason, it is imperative that you, the loyal American, continue to watch and understand its impact on your place in America. Thus, the subtitle of this book, Where You Stand in the Age of Obama, and my mandate to take a hard look at the president. On June 9, 2010, the world's most influential newspaper, The Wall Street Journal, printed an op-ed piece by Dorothy Rabinowitz, a member of the paper's editorial board. The article, entitled The Alien in the White House, made a devastating case that Barack Obama has little in common with working everyday Americans. Ms. Rabinowitz put forth the view that the president simply has no understanding of you and your life. As a result, his leadership is based on theory, not reality. She also asserted that Americans are beginning to notice the emotional distance between them and their leader. The op-ed was provocative and damaging to the president, especially in the midst of a brutal economy and the oil spill catastrophe in the Gulf of Mexico. The polls show Mr. Obama losing the support of some independent voters and even some liberal voters. Is the president detached from your reality? Is he a man who primarily lives within himself? But this much can be said with absolute certainty about all national leaders. Sometimes they are pinheads and sometimes they are patriots, as we cited with the examples of JFK and W. But when the stakes are as high as they are right now in America, with historical debt and a war against crazy Islamic jihadists, some of whom are seeking nuclear weapons, leadership becomes amazingly important. Let's be blunt. A pinhead making a national security mistake could very well get thousands of Americans killed. And a continuation of out-of-control spending could shatter the entire economy. Therefore, I have a responsibility to provide you, the reader, with an honest appraisal of your situation in the age of Obama. I can't embrace ideology, myth, or propaganda. I've got to cut through the fog and define whether socialism, corruption, incompetence, and yes, even evil are in the air. So determining the roster of Pinheads and Patriots is a complicated business, as you can see. And I don't make these designations lightly. Nobody's perfect. But in most cases, a pattern of behavior does emerge, and we'll be looking for the pattern together in this book. To get us started, I have two clear examples of how I determine P&P status. Say hello to Congressman Barney Frank, and please consider the late Tony Snow. Chapter 1. Essential Examples of a Pinhead and a Patriot. Let's begin with the definition of a pinhead, as put forth in the book A Dictionary of Slang and Unconventional English, compiled by Eric Partridge. Pinhead, a simple fellow, a fool. So small a head can contain but few brains. Then there's a definition that Urban Dictionary drops on us. One who lacks the intelligence of the normal sector of the human population.